Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate especially the last, and I would extend my prayers and thoughts to Ms. Dean as well. I'm just a little under a year. In fact, Monday this week will be 1 year from losing my mother, so it is, for all of us, we go through that, and it's an expression of love. However, I will come to this hearing today and say that we are continuing. I appreciate the chairman's understanding. I appreciate the chairman outlining a great deal of the basic conclusion that was an affirmative conclusion from the Mueller investigation. That was the foreign interference in the Russian part of this. What is amazing, though, and I agree with the chairman's assessment of being attacked, and that's something we've known the Russians were always a part. For some of us, we've been talking about the Russians for a long time in that, but it's about priorities. And here's my question about priorities and coming to this hearing. And the question of priorities is if we were attacked, as the chairman just said, then the priority should be to go to the battlefield on the attack where we were attacked on and not run by the sideshow to hear from the commentators. We should actually go to the one that Mr. Mueller actually said was, we have a problem here. We're showing you we've actually induced indictments here. How can we firm up our elections? How can we do away with foreign interference? How can we do that? It's about priorities. And I think what has happened here is the chairman is showing the priorities. The priorities were from November 2016, it appears that we have an issue with who got elected president. And we thought the Mueller investigation would solve this for us, and it really did not, even after a lot of discussion. We're going to hear a lot about that today and the discussion that we have. But it goes back to priorities, and priorities of bringing what we focus on and how we focus on it. And if you look at the witnesses today and you discuss what was actually just went on for a while, we're not bringing Russia front and center. We're not bringing the threats to our election front and center, although I appreciate the chairman reading the letters that I send him and understanding what we could actually be working on. And I'm wanting to move forward there. But however, here we come with some folks that are great folks. You're wonderful on TV. I could catch your testimony on TV. In fact, by the way, I could this morning. I'm a Republican. I believe that you use everything that you've got to as much business as you want and generate as much as you want to work for yourself. But I don't believe it's the problem of this committee to have to come and hear from those who are not a part of the Mueller investigation, who are not a part of this, pontificating on things that you can do on TV like all of us get a chance to do occasionally, but not here on the hearing. But then we get, and I'm sort of reminded of the Russia priority issue, because just a few years ago it was brought up and one of our candidates talked about Russia being a threat, and the former president, Mr. Obama, said, you know, that the 80s are asking for their foreign policy back. Well, guess what? This committee is now hearing from the 70s, and they want their star witness back. In fact, it's very difficult for one of the witnesses here today, for many of us who could actually trace the distrust in government back to the witness here today. The 70 star of obstruction. In fact, I'll take it a little bit further. For those of us who've been looking into this for a while and wondering how we got started here, and for those of us who've heard me discuss the fact, and many on our committee and on our side discuss the fact of the corrupt cabal, what we see of Strzok, Page, McCabe, Comey, and others, how we actually got started here, I believe that they have the Godfather here today, Mr. Dean. In fact, they probably had a picture of how do we actually use the governmental resources to interfere in other people's campaigns. Mr. Dean is the Godfather. They may even had a picture of you, knowing how you do it. And that is here today, again, to talk about a president that obviously you don't like, an interview in ways that you had pled guilty to. I appreciate your right to be here. And I appreciate your right to share it anywhere else. But don't appreciate the fact that here we are again with priorities in this committee turned upside down. It is interesting to me, and I applaud the chairman for finally getting accommodation processes from the Department of Justice that he could have had a long time ago. I'm glad we got it there. Now maybe we can move forward. Maybe we can begin to put this committee in order. But I would just go back and just say that I would ask my chairman on who we do agree on some things. Hopefully tomorrow we're actually going to have a bill we agree on, the 9/11 bill. But while we continue this part, asking opinions from commentators, promoting their agendas, my question is this. At the end of the day, for these not here, they're here commenting on a report, I go back to what the chairman asked, and he said, well, we may get there. And I said it was, we hope, I think was the exact words just a moment ago, to have Robert Mueller. Hope. This committee is obsessed with a document in which they could talk to the author, and we seem to not want to go there. We're hot and heavy to get everybody else here, but we don't want to go there. Because at the end of the day, the Mueller document, even despite his standing up and statements, stated there was no collusion, which is where it started. Where it started, there was that contact, and there was no charged obstruction. But here we are again today. Here we are looking at it as we go forward. Why? Because there is an obsession. There's another election around the corner. And that other election is simply being played out here. How can we damage the president? Because we don't like the cards that we got to run for re-election on with the economy and other things happening. So, Mr. Chairman, we're here again. I believe the priorities are wrong, but you've called the priorities. So now let the show begin. I yield back.